Hello and welcome to Moments in History. I'm Linda Shenton-Matchett, author, speaker, and history geek. While researching my stories, I unearth tons of intriguing historical information that does not end up in my books. So I've created this channel so I can share these tidbits with you. I really appreciate you stopping by to watch. The Great War, as World War I was originally called, was the first instance of mechanized warfare as well as other deadly inventions. By the end of the conflict, more than 10 million soldiers were dead, along with more than 6 million civilians. A staggering 21 million troops had been wounded, a large percentage of whom were disfigured. According to Dr. Fred Albee, an American surgeon working in France at the time, and who would later invent bone grafting and other advances in orthopedics, the soldiers failed to understand the menace of the machine gun. They seemed to think they could pop their heads up over a trench and move quickly enough to dodge the hail of bullets. Sadly, we know this was not the case. British sculptor Francis Derwent Wood and American sculptor-painter Anna Coleman Ladd stepped in to help these mutilated men. Born in England's Lake District to an American father and British mother, Wood was educated in England, Switzerland, and Germany. He also trained at various art institutes and developed talent for sculpture at an early age. 41 years old at the outbreak of World War I and considered too old for active duty, he enlisted as a private in the Royal Army Medical Corps. He was assigned as an orderly to the 3rd London General Hospital, where he said he performed errand boy housewife chores. One reference indicated he began to devise sophisticated splints for the patients, but didn't elaborate on what that meant. Eventually, he realized he could use his artistic abilities to help the men even more by creating masks for those who had facial disfigurements. Crafted of metal, his masks were lightweight and more permanent than the rubber prosthetics that were in use at the time. In addition, his masks were custom designed to bear the likeness of the individual taken from pre-war portraits. Wood established his mask-making unit in March 1916, and by June 1917, his work was featured in the British medical journal The Lancet. He wrote, "I endeavor, by means of the skill I happen to possess as a sculptor, to make a man's face as near as possible to what it looked like before he was wounded. My cases are generally extreme cases that plastic surgery had to abandon. But as in plastic surgery, the psychological effect is the same. The patient acquires his old self-respect, self-assurance, self-reliance, and he takes once more to pride in his personal appearance. His presence is no longer a source of melancholy to himself, nor a sadness to his relatives and friends." Several months after the article appeared, Anna Coleman Ladd and her husband moved to France as a result of his appointment to be director of the Children's Bureau of the American Red Cross in Toul. Anna was born in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania in June of 1878 and educated in Europe. She studied sculpture in Paris and Rome. After marrying Dr. Maynard Ladd in Salisbury, England, she and her husband returned to Boston, where in 1914 she founded the Guild of Boston Artists. In addition to sculpting and painting, she published 2 books and wrote at least 2 unpublished plays, one of which involved the story of a female sculptor who goes to war. After hearing about Wood's tin nose shop, as some of the soldiers called it, Anna contacted him and made arrangements to work with him. Together, they sought to improve the mask's techniques. Anna wanted to serve in France, but because of a mandate that forbid husbands and wives to serve in war zones at the same time, she had to obtain permission from General Pershing to go to Paris. Upon his approval, she coordinated with the Red Cross to get to the city, where she set up her Masks for Facial Disfigurement department. Soldiers would arrive at her windowed studio that was decorated to be warm and welcoming, with upholstered furniture and artwork on the walls. Anna and her assistants would make a cast of the individual's face by applying plaster. Then she would make a copy of the face from the hardened cast. The next step was to create the appliance in gutta percha, a rubber-like substance that was then electroplated in copper. If extensive coverage was necessary, she would sometimes use a silver mesh plate covered in plaster. Weighing between 4 and 9 ounces, The mask was 1/32 of an inch in thickness, or, as one society woman put it, the thinness of a visiting card. The most challenging part of the process was painting the mask, which was done while the individual was wearing it. After unsuccessfully using oil paint that chipped, Anna began to use a hard enamel that was washable and had a dull, flesh-like finish. Explained by Grace Harper, chief of the Bureau for the Re-Education of the Mutilés, as the French soldiers were called, skin hues, which look bright on a dull day, show pallid and gray in bright sunshine, and somehow an average has to be struck. The artist has to pitch her tone for both bright and cloudy weather and has to imitate the bluish tinge of shaven cheeks. Real hair was used for eyelashes, eyebrows, and mustaches, and the prosthetics were attached to the face with strings or eyeglasses. Great effort was taken by both Wood and Ladd to produce masks that bore the closest possible resemblance to the pre-war soldier's injured face. But Anna and her team were said to have better artistic results, taking as long as a month to fabricate the masks. In a 1918 article, Anna explained her goals. "We do not profess to heal. After the wounded man has been discharged from the hospital, we begin our treatment. Of course, the chief difficulty in making these masks is to accurately match both sides of the face and restore the features so there will be nothing of the grotesque in the appearance of the covering." A mask that did not look like the individual as he was known to his relatives would be almost as bad as the disfigurement. Anna received many letters from clients praising her work, one of which said, "Thanks to you, I will have a home. The woman I love no longer finds me repulsive, as she has a right to do." Others claimed it helped them avoid what they called the Medusa effect, meaning that a person who saw their disfigured faces froze and stared. In 1932, the French honored her as a Chevalier of the Légion of Honor in recognition of her work, a field now called anaplastology. Anna passed away in June 1939, a mere 3 months before the onset of World War II. One wonders what she would have thought about that conflict. I hope you've enjoyed today's moment in history. If you want to learn even more history, please stop by my blog that's found on my website, www.lindashentonmatchett.com. Please consider subscribing to my channel and click the bell icon to receive notifications of new episodes that generally release on the second and fourth Fridays of every month. You now have the opportunity to partner with me in my author journey through Patreon and receive exclusive benefits not available anywhere else. Depending on the level of support you choose, you'll get to read along as I write, obtain advance copies of ebooks or signed paperbacks, and attend live monthly chats. You might even get to name a character. Head on over to my page found at patreon.com/LindaShentonMatchett. That's www.patreon.com/LindaShentonMatchett. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.